What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review of Love and Hip Hop Miami Season 3, Episode 3. So, we start this episode off, we see Trina. She said, look, I saw a couple of decent acts the other night, but I still need that. I'm still looking for that one marquee person. And so we meet a couple of new characters this episode. So we meet Hood Rat, or Hood Brat. I'm sorry, not Hood Rat, Hood Brat. And what we find out is that Hood Brat has been around for a long time. She definitely admires Trina. She is 100% Miami. She used to be a part of a group called the Step Sisters, and she's kind of going solo now. Trina's telling her, look, you are just what I need for my tour. She's, of course, ecstatic, and she's honored, that Trina would ask her, and we find out that she is working like 4 or 5 jobs. She is hustling, trying to get her music off the ground because her sister actually killed herself. And she now has custody of her sister's kids. Well, she's taking care of her sister's kids. She didn't use the word custody, but she's taking care of her sister's kids. And so I thought that, I definitely thought that was very interesting. But we know that, like I said, but she's been doing this for a long time. And so we're going to see her on the show. Now, what we also find out is that she is friends, or she's cool with Naturally Nikki. And Trina told her, like, look, she showed her tail the other night. And I don't know how I feel about her. Like, she came recommended from Trick, but, she was acting a fool. So she said, yeah, but, I don't have no beef with her. And Trina was like, it's cool. Trina didn't try to make her say, well, I like her, I don't like her. She was like, that's cool. My experience with her was this, and that's cool that she said, maybe you can convince me otherwise, And also, she also knows, it's somebody else that she knows. She knows Joy, but we find that out later on. But it's somebody else that we find out in this conversation that she knows. Maybe we'll come back around to it later. Okay. So then we see Joy and Brisco. They going out on a date. Come to find out, Brisco knew Joy from before he went to jail, but, of course, she was married to Trick, so she was off limits. He said, I hear that they going through a divorce now, Maybe things are a little bit different. So they go out on a date, and Joy was actually flirting with him a little bit too at the little situation a couple of nights, or back on the first episode. So there's definitely a mutual attraction there. And he asked her, he said, look, if Trick knew that we were out on this date right now, would it be an issue? Would I have to answer some questions? And Joy tried to, make it seem like, well, I mean, he got a whole girlfriend over there, so he shouldn't be worried about what I'm doing. She never did answer that question, by the way. And she mentioned Naturally Nikki, and Brisco was like, really? He said, well, me and her used to mess around. And she was like, what you mean, like, mess around, or like texting, mess around? And he said, we had a situation, He did insinuate, because Joy asked point blank, did y'all screw? And he did insinuate that something went down, but he never specifically said the words. And the reason why I say that is because that's going to be important right now. So, Trick invites Joy to come over to his house because I don't know what she thought she was going over there for, but she definitely didn't think she was going over there for a sit down with Trick and with Naturally Nikki. She gets there, and she like, wait a minute, what's all this going on? Like, this is real intimate. Like, what's the problem? And Trick said, well, Nikki seemed to feel like you got a problem with her. I'm just trying to clear the air. I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands everybody, And immediately, Joy was like, well, I don't know. She said, well, you team Joy. And she was like, what does that mean, Team Joy? What do you mean, my team? And Trick was like, well, that's why I brought y'all here, so y'all can clear the air. She seemed to feel like everybody is against her, and everybody has a problem with us being, together, and they all Team Joy. And so Joy was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have no team, She said, so then they came up with the situation the other day at the audition. And Joy was like, all Trina wanted you to do was battle rap. And from that point, Nikki she went from 0 to 100 in like 60 seconds. And she started going off. I'm not going to audition. I'm only going to do battle rap. It was a setup. It was a setup. And I'm like, first of all, nobody set you up, sir, ma'am. Nobody set you up. Trick got you to audition, but you had to get the job. And you right now, that attitude that you show right now is the exact reason why things escalated the other day. So then, she starts talking about, you want to be with him, doing all of that extra. So here's where Joy got petty. Joy brings up Brisco and brings up the fact that, well, Brisco said that the two of y'all was, smashing, and that was only a couple of weeks ago. So what's up with that? And so, of course, Trick was like, what? Like, you sleeping with this other dude? Because, you ain't giving me none. And she was like, that's a lie. I ain't doing nothing with this man. Why you bringing that up? You get my business. And Trick's thing was, I known Joy for 20 years. I known her for 2 weeks. I know Brisco. He don't have no reason to lie. Who am I supposed to believe? So Trick ends up putting the girl out of his house, honey. Now, again, Joy, you was being messy, and we're going to get back to that in a minute. We're going to get back around to that in a minute. Then we have a little scene with Joseline. I think they're just trying to splice her in. She's at the studio dancing. Her boyfriend shows up. And she's basically talking about how she just doesn't want to go back to being who she was. And she doesn't want, she doesn't want no smoke. But, of course, she's got issues with Miss Prima Donna. So we'll get back to that because, again, that was just a little snippet. Then we have a moment with Amara La Negra and her boyfriend, and he's telling her he's ready for kids, and she's like, oh no. She said, I ain't ready for kids because I haven't done all the things that I'm ready to do in my career. Like, I want children, but I don't want them right now. And she told him, she said, you just happen to fall in love with a woman who just is at a different place right now. She was like, I want kids, but if you want kids right now, I can't give them to you. I want to win a Grammy. I want to win Billboard Awards. I want my, I want to, perform on big stages. And I know that if I had a child right now, that would sort of, slow that down. And that's just not what I want. And, he wasn't happy to hear it. He was like, he ready for kids. He ready for kids right now. And he wasn't happy to hear that Amara said that that's just not where she was in her life. Then we have the showdown between Julian and Trina. And, of course, Trina brings her whole team with her. They get to arguing. They go back and forth. Y'all know, the first season when Trina used to do that yelling, going back and forth extra, I thought she was, like, overacting and, like, putting too much into it. But now I'm realizing that that's just how Trina is. That's just how she talks. When she started getting excited, and that's what I'm saying, Julian, I don't know why, but you didn't even text me with my mother? That was so disrespectful. I thought that she was just doing extra. Like, if you go back and look at my reviews, I was like, she's doing. But now that is just, because Trina was doing it when she was talking to Hood Brat. That is just how Trina talks, and I accept it. With that being said, first of all, he tried to start the conversation off apologizing for not reaching out to her when her mom passed away. He said that, he just knew that things were really bad between him and Trina, and, he just wasn't sure of his move. My thing is, I don't care. Some things supersede that. If me and you have a relationship, we have a relationship. It doesn't matter if we're in a bad place right now. A text don't hurt. Because here's the thing. I send the text. You can delete it. You can ignore it. You don't have to respond. But I'm going to send the text to you because I want you to know that in spite of the fact that we beefing right now, I'd never wish that on anybody. And we have known each other, and we do have a history, and that's all love. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't understand that. And, of course, she let him know that she had a problem with that. Like, at the end of the day, we've known each other too long, and for you not to even reach out and wish me, not wish me, but send condolences with the loss of my mom, that was just the ultimate disrespect. Then they get into the whole money thing, and he produces a contract that states that doesn't have anything to do with Trina. It's all about, it's between him and his label. Now, Trina brought up a good point, because Trina said, okay, that might not have my name on it, but that ain't no record company giving you that kind of money off of the strength of anybody else on your roster. I brought you that money. Now, that's a little different than what Trina was saying before, but I understand her point. I don't know enough about the music industry and how contracts work and how all of that breaks down, on the back end to know whether he basically he side cut Trina and whether he was right or he was wrong. But I do feel like somebody owes somebody some money, because if producers weren't paid, songwriters weren't paid, and all of that wasn't paid in the production of the album, somebody dropped the ball. Whether it was the record company, whether it was him, somebody done dropped the ball. Now, again, drop it in my comments. Y'all break it down for me who it is, because I don't have enough information right now to make a determination. But I do know somebody messed up the church's money. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, oh Lord, where do we pick up? Because I don't. Alright, so we see Sukihana again. Now remember, Sukihana is the one that showed up to the audition last week with Trina, with her whole production. You know, she had her outfit, she had her dancer, she had her DJ, and we see my friend Chaotic. That's my boo thing. Now, Chaotic is with her. Now, what we find out is that she's also an Instagram star. She makes videos to go viral, and, you know, she does her music. And so they're out making a couple of videos or whatever, walking around Miami doing, you know, videos. And what we find out is that she is being managed by Tip Drill. Tip said, look, I see her. I saw it was something about her. I saw she had that it factor, that something to it. And I got dogged out enough in the music industry that I feel like I've learned enough to pass on to somebody else. So I really want to manage her. I really want to see her go to that next level. And she's telling her, like, look, I know you had to audition, but I need you, like, I understand that, you do your little Instagram videos, but basically I need you to focus on the music. I need you to kind of get away from that, because we're trying to transition you over into being, into people taking you seriously as a music, in your hip hop. And people are not going to take you as seriously when they can, look at a viral video of you. And I feel like that goes back to Cardi B, That's how Cardi B got her start. Her Instagram was popping, and I got, that's what got the producers' attention with Love and Hip Hop, and we know how that all, went. And I feel like everybody wants to follow that blueprint. And I said this in another video. Sometimes lightning just strikes. And I think Cardi B was a lightning strike. Like, I don't know if anybody can do what Cardi B did. Whether you like her music or not, you gotta respect her hustle. You have to respect what she was able to do off of Instagram, rolling it into reality TV, rolling it into where she is right now. There are people who have been on these reality TV shows for 5 and 6 seasons talking about they making an album, and we ain't heard nothing. And Cardi B did in a season and a half, because let's be clear, that second season of Love and Hip Hop was only out of obligation. She really didn't need it at that point, and she was halfway there. But anyway, back to this. So we see Nikki meet up with Hood Brat, and she's telling them what happened with Trick and the whole Brisco thing. And now let me say this. Now, y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all feel like she was 100% clear in her explanation as to whether her and Brisco slept together or not? And do you think that, I feel like she sort of tipped her hand that the only reason why she was messing with Trick was for what she thought Trick could do for her, because she, came right out and said, I ain't gonna sleep with him. I ain't giving him none. And then when Brisco came up, she sort of kind of, for a second, hesitated a little bit before she was like, I ain't do nothing with Brisco, but she said she didn't do nothing. But I just felt like I felt a little hesitation before she did it. But she said she ain't do nothing with Brisco, and Brisco was having a, welcome home party, and Hood Brat was like, well, let's meet him up there. Like, I feel like you need to confront him. You need to let him know if that's how you really feel. She said, what about you and Trick? She said, Trick ain't even taking my phone calls. And I'm like, I guess not. You acted, that's not the first time you've embarrassed him and acted a fool. At least on this show, in 3 episodes, that's the second time. Because you made him look like a fool in front of Trina with the way you acted at that audition. And then he trying to sit you and Joy down to try to clear the air and come to some sort of meeting of the mind, and you acted a fool again. So anyway, that's when we also found out that Hood Brat also knows Brisco. Hood Brat know everybody. But I think it's because she been out there, she been hustling. She said she been doing music since she was 13. And I think she knows so many people. Really, I think it's legit because of that connection. I don't think it's anything nefarious to it. Now, Brisco's having his welcome home party. A few things go down at the welcome home party. Let me get started. So we see Prima Donna, Joy and was it Amar? No, Prima Donna and Joy were talking, and she was telling Prima Donna, how things are going on or whatever. I want to say, did she tell her about the situation with Trick? I think she did, with Trick and Nikki or whatever. Yeah, she did, because that's when Amara walked up, and Amara was like, am I interrupting something? And they were like, nah, you good, but they ain't finished that conversation. So then they all went over to like VIP. So it was Amara. Now Prima Donna saying that she back. She has all these she was talking about all these products she has in the market, but then she said she's back in Miami to get back to her business. So I feel like maybe the business sort of fell by the wayside, or was floundering a little bit. I don't know. But she said she's back in Miami to get her business together and put her products back on the map. Okay, cool. So they were in VIP. It was Amara and her boyfriend. It was Prima Donna, Joy, and then Suki showed up. This other chick talking about she be twerking for Jesus. I'm not entertaining her. And Hood Brat. So they were all in VIP, talking, laughing, joking, and that's when they were doing the whole twerking for Jesus thing or whatever. And Amara's boyfriend was like, yo, I'm going to go get me a drink. He was like, all right. And I thought he was going to leave the girls there. He was like, all right, Amara, let's go. And I feel like he was basically like, Amara, this ain't your crowd. This ain't who you need to be hanging out with. This ain't who you need to be seen with. Like, that's how I took that. I could be wrong. So here's the other thing that sort of went down. Shay, is your whole season going to be screaming, hollering, yelling, throwing stuff, and walking away? Because she calls herself having a conversation with Amara. But she didn't really let Amara talk. Because Amara was trying to explain, because she was like, well, basically she's fussing at her about the whole what's the girl name? JoJo thing again. And she was telling her, don't put me in that situation. If you want to be friends with JoJo, that's between you and JoJo. But I don't want to be around her. I would never do that to you. Now, from that, Amara was trying to explain to her, I talked to JoJo, but me and JoJo are not friends. We are not going to become friends, And she said, well, you said you missed her. You were saying that you missed her. And she was trying to explain, I do miss her friendship, and Shay wouldn't even let her finish, because what she was trying to let Shay know was, but I'm not going to be her friend again. Whatever. You said you missed her. You said, I don't know how you can miss somebody that treated you like that. And this, but that's all right, fine. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I don't want to talk to you. Forget it then. I ain't talking to you. And she just walks off. And Amara is like, what the, like, I'm trying, like, what the, I was trying to. And Amara really was trying to explain to her, I talked to her, but I realized that I'm not trying to be friends with her. Like, she really was trying to break that down. Then Julian shows up. Julian and Amara are having a conversation. And Amara, he's telling Amara how he, talked to Trina to try to clear that whole thing up with Trina. And, he said he's done his part, that, there's nothing more he can really do about it. He did his part. Then Amara's boyfriend comes over and says, well, they were sitting together, whatever. And he was like, look, there's a lot of things that need to be said that Amara's not going to say. Amara, go get a drink. Let me talk to him. Amara, go get... And Amara really wasn't trying to leave him there alone. But she ends up leaving him there. And he starts talking to Julian about how he want to have a baby. And, he's trying to have a family. And he don't feel like he's doing enough for Amara's career. And Julian was like, do you know where I found her? Like, do you know where she was in her career? Yeah. He said, and it's been going up. He was like, yeah, but now it just seemed like it's sort of stagnant. It's not really doing nothing. He was like, okay, well, that happens with careers sometimes. Like, well, I know that she working her ass off and she shaking her ass and she doing this and she doing that. And I just don't see where anything, when she get home, the checks ain't rolling in. Oh, you worried about the checks rolling in. Then he said something about he the head of the household. That's Amara's house. That's not your house. And Julian said, look, man. He told him, he said, well, look, kids are out of the question right now. And I already told her, if she trying to go where she wants to go, we can't do the kid thing right now. Like, we gotta do some other things. And he ain't lying. And he's not wrong. Then he said, oh, shoot. Then he said to Julian, Julian said to him, he said, well, I'm be honest with you, bruh. Like, I'm just not feeling you. I'm not really feeling you right now, because, but he said the thing about the kids. He said the thing about the career not going with, and the checks not rolling in and stuff. And Julian, I'm trying, because it's something I'm forgetting. It's something I'm forgetting before I get to this last little part I want to say. But anyway, so then he starts talking to Julian about, well, you better not steal none of her money, and you better not be taking none of her money, and I'm not understanding what's going on. And Julian was like, look, bro, let me say something. He said, I can appreciate that you are looking out for Amara. I respect that. He said, but understand something. You are her boyfriend, and this really ain't your place. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't disagree with Julian. Like, it's one thing to say, look, I'm here to look out for the best interest. But for you, like, the way he was sort of coming at Julian was a little out of way. But then he said something that sort of explained a little bit why he was feeling the way he was feeling. And what he said was, when y'all was out in LA and you got drunk and you tried to slide up in the bed with her, yeah, I got a problem with that. And I was like, now we get to the bottom of all this anger. Because all that other stuff, I was like, okay, like, what you really mad about? But baby, so while all of this was going on, honey, Amara was over there having a panic attack. Because see, here's the thing. I feel like that panic attack that she was having, I feel like she was faking it so that they would stop talking, because she knew where that conversation was going, honey. I don't think it was nothing wrong with Amara, but Amara was like, I need some water. I don't feel good. I'm getting lightheaded. Yeah, you getting lightheaded, all right, because you didn't want that conversation to go where it was going. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.